Her own learning style, from Growing Without Schooling 20. Pat Heiland of Iowa writes, "We have been so well schooled ourselves that it has been difficult for us to trust our own point of view about schooling. Reading GWS in your writings has been greatly helpful to us in making our decision to continue with home learning, something that we realized we'd been doing right along. Anna provided us with the motivation to come to this decision, as well as a real education by her example of self-directed learning. Giving Anna the freedom to learn and grow has often required that we put aside our conclusions about education, however liberal, and allow ourselves to become the students. We have learned that the ways Anna chooses to learn are important to her, that the learning strategies she chooses work, and that they are strategies that schools would not tolerate. One of the things that we have learned is that Anna often prefers to do more than one thing at a time. We first paid attention to this when she was around 2 because it affected us. Anna would ask us to read, cozy up to listen, then, after just a few minutes, she would get out some toys and get wrapped up in play. At first we found this really annoying. Since she was giving no visible attention to the story, we assumed she wasn't listening. But if we stopped reading or complained about her apparent lack of interest, Anna would insist that she wanted the reading. So we read, and she played with her toys, sometimes an elaborate conversational fantasy. She really did hear the stories and often interrupted her play to ask questions or make comments about them. And she remembered the stories too. We accepted this arrangement, although at times it seemed ridiculous. For example, when she would read a comic while we read something else to her at her request. This liking for doing more than one thing at a time has not been limited to listening to stories, or the only way Anna has liked to hear stories. But whenever she has done things this way, it has seemed important to her as a way of learning. Another thing that we learned is that playing with what she is learning is Anna's way of taking possession of it, of making it her very own. I began to understand this when Anna and I were working on a seed growing project. When we planted the seeds, I suggested that we make a chart on which we could record what we saw as the seeds grew. Since Anna wanted to be a biologist, I thought this would give her a taste of scientific observation. She liked the idea. When the first sprouts appeared, we eagerly got out our chart. Anna neatly filled in the data and drew a surprisingly accurate representation of a sprouted pea seed in just the right place. Then she began to make the whole business her own, and I began to feel twinges of anxiety about our tidy chart. Under the sprouted seed, she drew a hand, and then a rabbit person attached to the hand, and then 2 more rabbits looking at the seed in the hand of the first rabbit. In a stupid muddle of school thinking, I almost told her that she was messing up the chart. I bit my tongue and watched. Anna worked over the chart with further drawings and talked about her fantasy as she went. The first rabbit told the other 2 all the ins and outs of seed growing, covering all the things Anna and I had talked about when we planted the seeds and while we waited for them to grow. Anna has continued to take possession of her learning in drawing, fantasy, games, and one-woman plays. After seeing an explanation of selection in the evolution of one crab species on PBS's Cosmos this fall, Anna worked out a fantasy game using pennies and dimes from her counting jar to represent 2 species of crabs. Then she invited me to fish with her for crabs from a toy boat on our carpet sea. We always threw back the penny crabs to live and reproduce, and we always kept the dime crabs to eat. She expanded the game, adding predators and ocean storms, which each took their toll on the 2 populations. This fantasy game clarified the dynamics of selection for Anna and made the knowledge her own in a very real sense. None of these incidents, or the many similar ones that fill Anna's days, would have a place in school. We are certain that having Anna's ways of learning reshaped to fit what schools think are the appropriate or right ways of learning would be as crippling and as stupid as having her feet bound to fit some notion of appropriate foot size.